I think Antonio is overestimating the market for him and the value. I think similar. He's not as far gone. He's not really far gone at all as far as his ability. But remember, Dez Bryant. You could not have told Dez Bryant that he would be out of the NFL. And so, he obviously came back and got hurt. So I think Antonio, in a similar way, is overestimating his value and in being so excited and anxious to get out of Pittsburgh. That said, let's go back to Randy Moss when he was 30. What New England get him for? A fifth-round pick? T.O., when he was 31, Philadelphia got him for a fourth-round pick and a defensive end, a mediocre defensive end. So that shows you that Pittsburgh's hopes of getting a number one pick or first-round pick might be a little unrealistic, might be a pipe dream. All that said, depending on the team I am, if I'm New Orleans and I don't have a first-round, third-round, or fourth-round pick, I think I might be willing to give up my second-round pick for him because with Drew Brees, Alvin Kamara, Michael Thomas, that could be an electric offense, and they're in win-now mode. If I'm another team like a San Francisco, I'm probably thinking a third-round pick and maybe another player, maybe a Marquise Goodwin or somebody like that, a burner that you can send to Pittsburgh as a receiver. But I don't think I'm giving a first-rounder if I'm trying to get Antonio Brown.
I tend to agree with you. It's a little bit like playing spades, where you're sitting there going, I got two of the possible, maybe
you play spades?
Yeah, I play spades.
I don't know. I got to admit, I don't know many non-blacks that play spades.
Oh, I play spades.
You do, too?
Yeah, we're all basketball players. Basketball players play spades.
All right. So
she's Midwest, so she probably played
be
euchre
black
as
or
well.
Hooper,
You didn't play
right?
euchre, did you, growing up in the Midwest?
I won Dwayne Wade's spades tournament last year.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Who was your
partner? And my partner
partner?
was Indian. He was fantastic. And I said the same thing to him. I said,
Indian dudes play spades?
He wanted to play with me. I said, I haven't met many non-blacks that play spades. He was like, trust me, I'm great. He was Jordan to my Pippen.
Did you guys table talk a lot, or did you guys have signals?
He was like 4 steps ahead of me and everybody else.
All right, we'll break up the
table talk.
Break up the table talk for a second here. I do think we're bearing a little bit of the lead. Look, I love the idea of New Orleans. Okay, I love the idea of Green Bay. I love the idea of putting him with a strong quarterback and especially in New Orleans, a strong head coach who brings respect, who is a very good play caller, but you have to have everything in a row because, remember, we're showing the happy, joy photo at the end of the day. We kind of blew past the fact that earlier in the day, he's on the treadmill huffing and puffing talking about he wants to get paid, right? Like he's got to get paid. Is he going to show up on time? Is he going to show up, when things aren't going well? Is he going to show up for a team that's trying to get into the playoffs? Like, there's some things that he violated in terms of football code that I don't believe you can violate. I think yesterday was the first day in which he finally came clean to what this is all about. It's all about getting paid. Right. It's all about a new contract. And I think he hurt his value with all these other things. So it's going to depend. It's going to depend on who the team is and do they have a quarterback who's solidified with his position? Can he work with AB? Can the head coach work with AB? Do they have a plan in place for when AB goes off the reservation? And then how much money does he want? He clearly wants a new contract. He was set to make 15, I think, on a non-guaranteed deal. And then, the Steelers aren't exactly in a point of strength here because they're going to take a huge they're going to take a huge cap hit. The one difference, there's a couple differences with Dez Bryant. One, Dez's production had waned.
He's much
and
better
Dez was never seen as the type of elite route runner as this guy is. Like, look, I will tell you, I think Antonio Brown has butchered this thing. 6 ways, 6 ways but sideways, or whatever the expression is. But I think he's a way better wide receiver at this stage in his career than Dez Bryant at the same stage in his career last year. Additionally, the Cowboys kind of did Dez dirty a little bit in holding on to him longer so that the market had already settled. This is before the market settles. I think that increases value. Probably a third-round pick, but there are teams that will overpay, and the issue with the Saints is they overpaid for Teddy Bridgewater with that third-round pick because the third-round pick would probably be a little bit high in terms of the ask.
I look at Indianapolis, too. That's a team that obviously you got a strong quarterback who I think could handle AB, and they've got plenty of cap room where – look, I'd be hesitant to give this guy a deal. But, I'd guarantee him maybe a couple years, and see what his production is. He looks like on the field a young 30, or I think he'll be 31 by the time the season starts. He still looks young. He works hard, and it depends. I mean, Randy Moss was pretty much done by 32, 33, but other guys, T.O., was really good still at 35. Jerry Rice went longer than that.
Steve Smith is a guy he's not a guy he hasn't sustained injuries,
right.
So it's not like Dez was never a great route runner. And then Dez had the foot problem that had kept him out, and Dez had taken a pounding as well. And Dez had always played on artificial turf, where he hasn't. He's played on natural grass, which I think there's a little bit of difference.
Then how much is this about some of the off-the-field issues of the kid?
Well, it's a lot.
Is that the percentage of concern that you would have if you were another team?
Yeah, I'm not really concerned.
And I think what he's going to perform like on the field.
Yeah, I'm not concerned about his performance on the field. I'm concerned about his off-the-field issues, and if his off-the-field issues could impact his performance on the field. If he's not happy, I mean, why didn't he play in week 17?
He played 15 games. They threw him the ball 168 times. Like, what the hell are you unhappy about, dude? Right?
Yeah,
I mean,
he's immature.
I understand some of it. I guess from his side has always been, hey, we're not holding Big Ben and other people accountable in practice, and he is a hard worker, but it is the pot calling the kettle when he had the Facebook in the locker room, and he has other things that he does. But it's a great point you bring up, Sarah. Like, what are you unhappy about, dude? They threw to you 168 times. Yeah. That if he plays in the game against the Bengals, he would have had 180 or so targets for a season, which is all wide receivers want. Just give me the ball, and I'll do the rest. So pleasing him contractually, pleasing him on Sundays can be just tiresome. And then it's, how much do we have to pay you? How much do we have? Does it have to be 2 years of guaranteed money, 3 years of guaranteed money? Do we know if you're going to show up? I think all of this hurts his value. And then there's the other side to it, which is the Steelers are going to take a pronounced hit in the cap, not in real money, but in cap money. And they have to somehow navigate that with what they want to take back in return.
Well, all that you said, that's why I wouldn't send him to a young team. Now, Jimmy Garoppolo, I guess you can call him young. I think he could handle AB. But in Arizona with the Josh Rosen, a New York Jets with the Sam Darnold, I wouldn't want him with those quarterbacks, because I think he tried to overwhelm them and force them to throw him the ball. Or, I just think he'd be a problem. I think we also haven't talked about, remember Ryan Clark, his former teammate, has called him out as being selfish, only concerned about himself. A lot of this, I think the money is critical, as you said, him wanting the guaranteed money. Ben Roethlisberger, I think that relationship. But also, remember, when did this kind of start? It wasn't when Ben called him out. I think that was week 12 or something like that for the poor route he ran, according to Ben. It was when Juju Smith-Schuster was named offensive MVP. And I think that speaks to a lot of what AB's concerned about, is getting mine and being the man. And so I think that's a problem, too.
Money aside, should the Steelers at all be concerned about their depth at that position, or who they have, or Juju Smith-Schuster being the focal point of what they're doing off it? Is there anything else that they're going to need to do to fortify that position?
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have, but they're going to have to get another wide receiver, and you're replacing a guy who's an elite level talent and a great route runner. And, it changes how the whole field looks, because there's going to be a safety over the top. Every time you put 84 out wide, you better put a safety out there. Otherwise, he's going to light you up. And Ben could still throw to him. Like, look, I don't want in any way, and I think you feel the same, an indictment of Antonio Brown's talent or his skill. And he's a refined wide receiver. He's not just a freak athlete. He's a refined wide receiver. So it does change them. But there's a lot of similarities with this situation to what they dealt with at running back last year, where Le'Veon Bell is a freak talent. He is a great, great talent, and he is in his prime. But they found a way to get a running back who cost them less money, who was in it for the team, and the guys kind of rallied behind. I think they can have the same effect. And the fact that it happens now, before the draft, before free agency, still gives them a ton of time to fill in with a guy or two. James Washington's there. He's an Oklahoma State guy. I don't think he's that level of talent. I think they'll have to draft one and probably sign one as well. They'll probably have to do it by committee.
And look, this is what they do. Santonio Holmes, Plaxico Burress, Michael Wallace. When Wallace was gone, that opened the door for AB. So I think Juju Smith-Schuster will be the next guy, and maybe they get somebody in a trade, or they draft somebody, or James Washington pans out.
We'll keep digging into this.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.